here we are for our numbers 10 through 1.
Dun, da, 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 da.
We've made it.
We did it.
And,
Achievement unlocked.
Well, I mean, we're not done yet.
Oh.
We've got 10 games to talk about.
We sure do.
All right, so if you're just joining us for this segment, we do invite you to go check out all of our other videos up until this point. But if you've already done that, or if you're like, I don't really care about all those other games, I want to look at these.
I just want to know what the top 10 is.
Well, then let's get started. Starting off at number 10, we have one of the most brutal cooperative games we've ever played, and that is Robinson Crusoe from Portal Games.
I say you're kind of a masochist.
Definitely.
To play this game.
I mean, our win-loss ratio is definitely not good.
I'm pretty sure it's zero.
I've won once, and I was playing
zero.
without you. But I'm not saying that there's any correlation there. But it's so cool. This game is so thematic as far as you're on an island. Everything that you do has an effect that lingers. Mm-hmm. You can like hit your thumb with a hammer, and then later on in the game, that effect comes back to bite you. You might get infected or something.
Right. Ugh, gross.
And I love that there are so many different scenarios that you can play.
Right.
From just the introductory one that you're just trying to survive, but then you've got some of the other creative things, like the Kong Island one.
Isn't there like a haunted?
I don't know. I know there's one about cannibals. You're trying to deal with the cannibals.
Which kind of goes with the Daniel Defoe novel.
And then you can also download ones from the internet. And then it's so hard.
It is
You've
so
got
hard.
so much you've got to balance. You've got to balance your shelter. You've got to deal with the weather. You've got to provide food for everybody.
You've got to deal with wild animals trying to kill you.
Animals. You got to
Morale, right?
Morale, yes. You don't want people to die. You've got to meet the certain criteria on the specific scenario.
You got to build your signal fire.
Yep. For that one. For that introductory one. So there's a lot going on, but just for the sheer feeling that this game gives us, as far as it being very thematic and feeling like you're playing through a story, we rank this one very highly at number 10, and that's Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island.
Number 9 on our list was pretty much like a no-brainer for either of us that to go into our top 10 from the moment we got this game.
Yeah.
And this is Viral from Arcane Wonders. And man, the first time we played this, we were both going, okay, there's definitely a really good game here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And being able to play it with several different player counts and see how that worked really kind of solidified that.
And I've also found that everybody that we play it with has an excellent time too. It's resonated with so many groups. It's just the fact that you are the virus trying to infect the body, and you're fighting over control over who gets to infect the brain or who gets to infect the small intestines. The theme is great in this one.
I know,
It's a lot, and I think it's handled very well. And obviously,
right, to keep it family friendly, they did a great job as far as the artwork on this one, because I mean they do want this to be a game accessible to families to play together, but it'd be very easy when you're portraying a human body, and especially the interior of a human body on a board, that could easily scare or gross out somebody. But they did it in just right. They found a perfect balance of kind of realistically depicting those things, but also giving them a little bit of a cartoony element. I kind of think of like the artwork style is very similar to something like Ren and Stimpy, to go back old school. Or maybe a little bit of Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah, maybe.
And the colors are so eye-catching too. So those are things that really help make it appealing to people to be a virus infecting the human body.
But I've never had so much fun infecting parts of the body before.
I've never had that much fun. Yeah.
It's a blast getting. The thing that surprised me was that deck building element that's in there too, to add those cards to do more powerful actions as your virus.
I like the tokens that determine how many points each zone is.
Yeah.
The fact that they are tokens, that's not something that's permanently printed on the board, but
that's
something that's
play.
Randomized, and then at a certain point in the game, those get flipped over.
And it changes again.
I really enjoy that. It really varies the game, helps keep the balance. This is such a balanced game.
Very balanced, at least in our experiences. It's been very balanced.
And we're really happy with that. We're just obviously just really glad to have this on our list at number 9.
It is a common known fact that we like rolling dice, and so, especially Lara, and so there's going to be several dice games on this segment of the list, and the first one is Role Player from Thunderworks Games. The first time we played this, we played it on Tabletopia, and we were like, okay, we need
this physical copy.
Yes.
Yes.
Just the fact that well, first of all, it's a great idea. You're creating a RPG character through rolling. They made a game out of rolling a character for an RPG.
Which, I mean, yeah, that pretty much, I mean, I think that was just a genius idea, and probably several people were going, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Because of the experiences of creating your character and building the backstory and everything, and the way they took those things and made them into a board game.
Yeah.
Just so creative.
What I like about it is that it's the variety. Every time you play, you can pick a different character, you can pick a different class, the race, or whatever. You know, they all have different names, I don't remember all. But you've got the alignment. So all of your base things you start with is completely different every time you play. Your goals are completely different every time you play. And then when you're rolling the dice and drafting them to reach your trait goals, you know, that's going to have a different outcome every time. And it's a struggle a lot of the time to reach those goals.
And there are so many factors going into it because, I mean, I think one of the most glaring ones that isn't just like explicitly apparent to you until you get into the game and look at stuff, some of those goals, some of the characteristic trait goals require you to have a certain amount of a certain total on your dice. But some characters, there's only, if I'm remembering correctly, only the human doesn't have this. On some of those traits, some of those characteristics, there's a one there's a +2 and one there's a -2. So sometimes that's going to be impossible to get that goal.
Yeah.
Such as if you need 18 total, so you would need 3 6s.
Yeah.
You're still going to get a -2 no matter what you put there. So there's no way you're going to get 18. So that's something you have to take into consideration.
But you can also get some of that gear or other stuff that can help with that.
But what if that card doesn't even come out?
You're right. That's also true. So there's a lot of questions when you go into this game. I love the dice drafting system where you may get the best dice, but you have to go last in the market phase.
Right.
It's very balanced in that regard. Just being able to add armor and weapons and traits and stuff.
And skills.
Skills to your character to make them better or whatever, to craft your strategy is awesome. Provides lots of different gameplays each time we play. So we love this one. And that is Role Player.
Number 7 on our list, another dice game. And this one is Flatline from Renegade Games. I don't even remember what exactly it was that drew us to this game. I don't even remember what the hook was.
It was all the dice, I think, and just the concept.
Possibly, but then when we got it, I just fell in love with this game.
This is definitely a go-to.
It is, yes, and it's very easy to teach. It's cooperative.
Yeah.
It's got some real-time elements, but nothing that's just like overwhelming. They're only in 1 minute increments, and they're broken up with just some breathing time and planning. And all of those things together, I just think that's just so cool.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this game so exciting to me. And I love getting new gamers to play this game or getting seasoned veterans because there are difficulty levels as far as how many patients you have to help. And goodness gracious, those emergency cards that can pop up can be killer.
You're not only trying to save patients, but you got emergencies going on too, and you've got to put power back on the ship as it's losing power.
It's losing power as you go.
And so there's a lot going on, and like you said, it's so great that there's only 1 minute of real time because everyone rolls their dice, and you have to shout at each other
to place
your dice.
But prior to that and after that, you are able to, all right, let's think about what do we need to focus on right now? Are these emergency cards stacking up and we really need to get some off? Or look, this patient's really close to being done, and if we get it done, we'll get this special bonus. I mean, that is so nice that they have that in there.
Yeah.
That would just be, because I mean, Fuse, that entire game is real time.
Right.
The moment that you start, you have to do everything in that amount of time. And I mean, I remember that game, my heart was racing, but with Flatline, I didn't feel the need to flatline.
Ooh,
yeah,
there you go.
Punny. All right. But I love this game and so happy to have it on our list, and that's Flatline by Renegade.
At number 6, not number 5, we have 5 Tribes.
Yes.
From Days of Wonder. This is another one. There are some games that you play, and that first play you're like, I gotta get this game.
Well, first of all, we've already mentioned we love Bruno's work.
Yeah.
We love, he's one of our favorite designers. We have so many games.
Yes, we do. But this is one of those games that as soon as even halfway through the game, we're like, this is
we
awesome.
want our own copy.
Yeah. And this was my first introduction, because I didn't know what the Mancala mechanism was. I was like,
Mancala.
ooh, when we tried to explain it, like, oh, you pick up the meeples and you drop them around, and I don't know what it's called, but you do that. Well, it's a Mancala mechanism. But the way it's incorporated into this game is
with
so
those
neat.
different meeples having a certain ability.
Right.
That's I really like that. And then the trying to be strategic about it and placing them just right so that hopefully no one else sees that you are really close to clearing that. Oh man, I'm always I stay pretty quiet during that game because I'm trying to not give away my move.
Yeah.
But then inevitably somebody else sees it and I go, okay.
Yeah.
Figure something else out now.
But that part's cool, and you've got the gems that you can add in there that give you additional special abilities.
Then you can also be purchasing things from the market.
Yeah.
To get some points at the end of the game.
The production on this game is great. All the wooden pieces. I like the wooden camels, the trees, the little castle things. Yeah.
Well, and the player aids are fantastic.
As always with
Days of Wonder, they always do such a fantastic job of that, and they are really good and clear. And even the score sheets that come with it are very helpful in going in order and filling that out just the right way to make sure you get the best gameplay out of it.
Yeah, and we do get great gameplays out of this one, and that is 5 Tribes.
Number 5 on our list is another Ole Steinus game.
Yep.
He's becoming one of our favorite
Yes, and
designers.
so anytime anything's announced about him, which hasn't really been anything recently except for the expansions for this one.
Yes, well, let's just go ahead and say it. It's Champions of Midgard.
Yes, but my ears perk up. I'm always watching to see what he's working on.
What's he doing?
Exactly like that.
All right, so Champions of Midgard. Spencer, go ahead and get this off your chest.
Oh, well, stop comparing this to Lords of Waterdeep. I mean, it's
okay. Let's calm down, not be so accusatory.
It's a worker placement game that the board looks similar. That's where the similarities end.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you can use it kind of as like if you like Lords of Waterdeep, you'll probably like this one. But that's the same thing as if you like X worker placement game that doesn't have too much going on, you'll like this one too.
Yes, I think they're both different enough games. It shouldn't be you should choose between the two of them. Should I get Lords of Waterdeep or should I get Champions of Midgard?
Get them both.
Well, they're different games, so and they both do different things.
Yeah.
So you should probably try both.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You know, if you don't like rolling dice like this has, then stay away from this one.
That's true. There's a lot of chance in there when it comes to the battles and whatnot, but you're getting to fight battles in this game.
Yeah, that's so cool.
As Vikings.
Well, I like that
awesome.
that element of your Vikings are your resources essentially, but they're dice. So you have to pick the right ones. Not only because some monsters that you fight,
you can't even fight with some of them, like the spearmen and whatnot.
Yeah, but some have more shields on them, more attack on them, and so but they might cost more to get those.
Or your character might be benefited by a certain class of warrior.
Right.
Like they get a double hit off of what would be a single die result.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing is really neat to look at.
Yeah, this game is so much fun. Going off shores and fighting faraway monsters.
These crazy monsters.
And you've got the troll that if people don't fight it, everybody gets blamed for not fighting the troll. You didn't fight the troll, so the villagers are mad at you. This one's a blast, and we really recommend this one as an excellent worker placement game. And that's Champions of Midgard. At number 4, we have placed the game that we named the number 1 game of 2016. and that is Islebound.
Red Raven!
Another Red Raven game.
There it is.
This was actually our first Red Raven game to play.
Yeah.
And it was an excellent introduction to the work of Ryan Lockett. I mean, obviously, since we played that, we were like, okay, we have to get all Red Raven games. Grab all Red Raven.
Get all the Red Raven.
And but this one is just, it's great to look at.
Oh.
Beautiful, peaceful color tones.
Right. Like, I like to say that this is a game that we like to play on nights when we just want to chill. And it's not a cooperative game, but it's still one that we can just relax.
Yeah.
And we put on some great music.
Oh man, that's what makes it really
soothing, and just like get a glass of wine or something.
Yeah, so it's from tabletop audio, so it's not only got nice music, but it's got the sound effects of like what sounds like a harbor, or like a clanging of a bell, or wind blowing, or the ocean tossing, or maybe you might hear a little seagull here or there.
Yeah.
It really adds to the ambiance of this game. But you know, it's essentially, you kind of do your own thing.
Well, and you've got the same things that in this whole world that Ryan Lockett has created in Above and Below and Near and Far. Islebound is part of that world too. You've got workers just like in Above and Below. In fact, you can use some in Above and Below. And you've got some storytelling elements when you go to an encounter marker. Just like in Above and Below and Near and Far. And
now they're not as in depth, so it's mainly just like a little paragraph you read, but it still sets a nice scene for the action that you're doing.
It really does. And so I really appreciate his work, and I would love to. It'd be really cool if he could write a book or like a graphic novel or something. Oh my gosh, what if he did a graphic novel? Because his artwork is amazing.
Yeah.
Ryan Lockett, make a graphic novel of this world of yours, because that would be so awesome.
It'd be really neat, but
that's all of this encapsulates so well, and I really enjoy that.
It really does, and you know, you're doing your own thing. You can go either be diplomatic or you can fight sea monsters, but you're also going to gain resources and
build buildings
and trying to gain reputation so that you're the best seafarer out there. It's an excellent game.
Yes.
We love it.
And that is Islebound by Red Raven Games. Okay, we're in the top 3.
Yeah.
And at third place on our list is Viticulture, the Essential Edition. This was a game that Spencer wrote about on our blog, if you would like to see what he wrote about that. And I didn't know anything about it. How did you even hear about it?
Well, it's had a really good reputation. And I just, based on its reputation, I've always been intrigued by it. It's not one that the theme screams out at me.
Right, winemaking.
But just based on everyone's recommendation, we got to try it on Tabletopia. And it's one of those, again, once we played, I was like, man, I got to have this game.
Well, and it's kind of the one that puts you on your I love worker placement
it really is.
kick, right? Yeah.
Basically, up until that point, we had played Lords of Waterdeep and maybe something other complex that I didn't enjoy a long time ago, which was Agricola. But I need to try that game again. But no, this one I realized what you could really do with a worker placement game and the different ways you can kind of...
So finally that mechanism clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, it's so thematic too with this one. You really do feel like you're running a winery.
Yeah.
You've got to get the buildings to be able to make the best, grow grapes, the certain kind of grapes.
You have to build the cellars.
Cellars, you can build...
you need irrigation.
Yeah.
You need a tasting.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the tasting.
Right. But then the actions that you're doing out there with your workers, giving tours, like people coming to see your winery. You've got visitors that come and they do special abilities and bonuses. You've got to train new workers so that you can be more efficient in what you're doing.
You got to harvest.
Yeah.
Then you got to store them in the cellar.
Yeah, and
you might have to pull up some vines.
Yeah, but I love that the seasons in the game too.
That's one of the things I really enjoy, and I also find so challenging because when it comes to placing those workers, I mean, you take the whole year, but you have to decide starting in the warm months. At what point do I stop placing workers
to save
so that I have workers to put out in the cold months?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you don't get to gather them up from the warm and then put them out again. You have to divvy them up throughout the entire year.
That's another link to the thematic. Everything you're doing corresponds with the season that you should be doing it if you're running a winery.
Very true.
Which is really cool. I love the little glass tokens that you use to mark your wine. I love the whole concept of crafting the wine, of combining the grapes and then moving over to your cellars.
The grande worker. He loves the grande worker.
Is cool. That's a really neat idea. We love everything about this game.
It's a treat.
It is.
And that's viticulture.
When we go to rating our games, one of the things that really factors into our enjoyment of them is the thematic experience and the immersion.
Yes,
right?
how immersive that environment is and that world, and if the game draws us in.
Yeah. And in this case, this game really draws us in, and that's Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. We played the 1st edition.
Yes.
And we really enjoyed that, but it had some flaws as far as, the setup time took forever. If you mess up on the setup time, or the setup,
if you miss one card, or if you put the card in the wrong place, the entire storyline of the game is ruined.
So the way that I think one of the reasons...
There's also stuff like the puzzles.
Yeah,
the puzzle boxes that you have to solve, or the fuses that you have to put together.
Yeah.
You only get so many moves in those in a turn. And, I mean, you're already taking up enough table space as it is with that map.
Right.
But then on top of that, you're having to leave this puzzle out until you have to finish the investigator phase, go through the mythos phase, which is a lot. I mean, you've got all the not haunt rolls, I'm thinking of betrayal.
Yeah.
The roll to see if you're going to go crazy because of how scary the person next to you is.
Yeah.
I can't even think of what it is now.
I don't either.
And then you come back to the investigator phase, so that puzzle sitting out there, pieces could have gotten moved around and jostled through all the... I mean, that just is... It's cumbersome.
Yeah. But the way that they implemented all of that into the app, and so that it's fully cooperative, I think that's one of the reasons why we love the game so much, is just we have the luxury of knowing what it was like before technology and then how much it's improved. So the mood music that the app sets, the narrator, the way that everything is kept track of in that app, the way that it can be different. Even if you play the same scenario, we've seen the setup of the maps change every time we play.
Or like the bad guy that I came up against has changed in a scenario that I've repeated. There's also just like how they keep track of wounds and everything, because those are also things that can take up a lot of room on the board, but they keep track of that in the app.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
It is.
And it just increases our immersion and enhances that I don't feel like we're playing, it's not like you've downloaded an app and you're playing a game solely on the app.
It's just an excellent pairing of both physical and digital.
Yes, it doesn't substitute at all for what's happening on the table. It comes along and partners with it. And so I feel like that's probably what was a fear at first when this came out, of you're buying this box with all this stuff on it, but basically everything you're doing is on the app. Not true at all. Yeah. I mean, you're still needing to roll your dice. You're still exploring throughout the board. And it's such an improvement, and we highly appreciate it and recommend it.
Yeah, and especially because another concern is, how long are they going to, provide support for this app? Well, they're continuing to release
more
scenarios.
DLC.
They keep coming out with it, and that's another thing I like. The scenarios all feel different. Some you're just really solely trying to fight a monster. But others, it's really more about the mystery of what's going on, trying to find the right pieces of evidence.
Which I think is very fitting in Lovecraft's mythos.
There is, but even if you think about it, there's even a pick up and deliver aspect of this game, because you got to go find the specific, maybe an item or something, and take it to a specific location. So there's a lot of elements to explore with this game.
Well, and we know there's going to be a lot more DLC, just because if you look at all the tiles you get in your box, and the scenarios that are out right now, we've never used all the tiles. We've never used all the sides, so I know there's going to be more DLC.
There's some really cool rooms where, like, how could they incorporate this into the story?
When are these going to be used? I want to use these rooms. But we could talk forever about this game.
So we'll stop now.
We'll end it now. You shouldn't be too surprised. It's in our top 3. But at number 2 is Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition from Fantasy Flight Games.
Okay, can you guess what our number 1 is? Ready? Go. Yes, you're right. It is Scythe from Stonemaler Games.
Yes.
Now, some people that follow us, that listen to our podcast, might be surprised about this, right, Lara?
You might be surprised because we haven't given you an update. Something we've talked about on our podcast is that if there's a game that we didn't enjoy, we like to give it breathing room and try it at least one more time before we say, no more, I'm not playing that game anymore. And so that's what I did. My first game of Scythe, I was just not in the right mindset. I was not...
You had a different expectation of what the game was.
Extremely different expectation. Was not expecting what it needed to be. And so I went in about it the wrong way. And that's what contributed to my not liking the game.
I loved it from the start, but...
And so I gave it some breathing room, came back, and I said, Spencer, let's just clean slate. Let's start over. Teach me every single step over again to make sure I understand it. And he did. And I enjoyed the game so much more. And I've been enjoying it. And we've been playing it. Played it with several player counts. Played it with several different people. I've gotten to see how other people play it.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. If you play with people that like play this game all the time and see their strategies, it's like, wow, I thought I was doing good, but apparently not.
I know. It's like I need to be taking notes.
Right.
But I'm very appreciative of this, and that's what's made it and contributed it to being our number one.
I think the key to this game is to understand, like kind of like you. Take it for what it is, right? It's not a combat game.
Which is what I thought.
There's combat involved.
I came in thinking, I need to fight. I need to fight. I mean, you're making these mechs and they look big and scary, and I thought that's what you used them for, was fighting. And I was wrong.
So there's that. There's this balance of what you're going to improve, right? You can't go all in on one thing and leave everything, because I've tried to do that and it failed for me. But that's a neat element to explore. There's also, you have to tailor your strategies to what mech or what character you're playing as.
Well, not even just your character, your board, because the boards are all so different. I mean, there's a lot to take into account there. You also need to be watching your competitors. Like the most recent game we played was on Tabletopia. I was playing on an old laptop that had some lag to it. And it was just hard for me to navigate around on the board on that laptop. And so all I did was stay focused on my little player boards and waiting for my turn. Then when my turn came around, I pull my head out of my board and look and see, oh my gosh, I'm totally surrounded by everybody. I can barely move. And that was definitely an eye-opening experience.
So the game is a blast. There's so much to think about and explore. It's an excellent production.
This production is just top notch. Love it.
So, I mean, we don't really have anything bad to say about the game. And every time we play, except for your first time, we've really enjoyed it.
And we're looking forward to playing with expansions.
Different people. I haven't played it solo. I'd be interested to explore how the solo works.
Me too.
And and I haven't even played as all the different factions, too.
Right.
I'd like to play with different and explore their special abilities and how they affect your strategy.
Yeah.
So, great game at our number one.
There it is. It's our number one. And that's Scythe.
We just talked about 100 games.
Done.
Check so, first of all, we want to thank any new people that haven't followed us before. If you've joined in on our videos and you're continuing and all the nice comments, we thank you for watching the videos.
We also want to thank you for your donation to the Dice Tower.
Yes.
That's what made this possible. That's what made it happen. It was one of the stretch goals on the Indiegogo campaign for funding for 2017. So thank you for your contribution, for keeping the Dice Tower going. And we also want to thank the crew at the Dice Tower for asking us to do this. And for helping put it out there. We're so appreciative of it. Y'all work so hard. We know you do. And we all appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you so much for everything you do for the hobby. And keep up the great work.
Yes. And we will keep up the game playing. And hopefully, I know that, we're already seeing some minor shifts and some games that could be added to the list the next time we do it.
That's so true. Even just in the time that we've been compiling this list and making these videos, we've gotten some new games to play and gone, ooh, if this had been around before we made our list.
I don't want to cheapen this list. This still stands as 100 awesome games. And right now, there still are 100 favorite games of all time. However, we are seeing some games that if we play a couple more times may work their way into the list in the future.
I think so.
And that's the great thing about this hobby. There's always something new, either new physically or new to you, that a game that's been around that's always going to come around and surprise you, or you're going to find something that you love that other people might not. And this is such a personal hobby, but it's also a very, a collaborative hobby as well. You're playing with other people, enjoying your experiences, and that's one of the reasons why we love it so much. And so again, we thank you so much for watching. If you want to keep up with us after this video series, how can they do that?
Well, you can follow us on our social media accounts. We're on Instagram at MarriedWithBG, Twitter at MarriedWithBG. We're on Facebook.com/MarriedWithBG, and there are links to all of our social media accounts on our website, MarriedWithBG.com, where you will also find our blog, where we will be posting our individual 100 top 100 lists.
For those that missed it, that's how this list was compiled. Lara ranked 100 games, I ranked 100 games, and then we averaged them. So you can see our individual lists, how we ranked them, on our website, like you just mentioned. Yes, those
will be posted, and you can also find our podcast on there as well, where we've talked about some of these games, and we've talked about some different games that aren't on this list.
Correct.
On our podcast as well.
Thank you so much for joining us for our top 100 games of all time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.